I've never done this before, but I feel like I should try to make a video. It's basically a brain dump, just a bunch of thoughts that I'm having, and I want to see if somebody gets some use out of them. Like maybe, nobody sees this. Maybe I just look back on it in the future and think it was cool. But yeah, I want to try it. I want to try making something. Right now I'm reading Maps of Meaning by Jordan Pearson, which is, got it right here. There you go. Yeah, it's thick. It's a thick boy. So, anyway, I'm about 100 pages in, and coincidentally, yeah, I fit into the demographic that he doesn't really aim at young men, but that's just kind of who picks up on his message. So, I'm one of those guys, and I have some thoughts that I figured I would share. And just general thoughts that I'm having about myself at this point in my life and the things that I'm thinking about, and maybe somebody will find it useful. So, snare drum, if you hear any buzzing, sorry. Basically, a lot of the book is predicated on this idea of you have this trying to think about how you would watch this. So you've got like the known present. Okay, this is familiarity. This is familiar, territory. This is unfamiliar. This is scary, and we don't know what's here. Like if this is Skyrim and this is a map, this is where you've been, this is the town, and these are all the merchants and stuff, and then this is all the clouded, like we don't know what's here yet, and you've got to venture out and, clear the clouds. So, but really, like on the other side of that, so if you got the known homeland, and you got like clouded, scary, unknown, then there's like the ideal future, which is like where you'd want to be. And Jordan Peterson talks about this idea of, it's just like any myth. He uses a lot of religious myth and like analogies. I don't know if allegory is the right word, but he's telling stories. And that's what a lot of this stuff is, like, Samson or Judah, or like basically, I don't know, just anything where there's a guy like Gilgamesh. There's someone who has to go out, and it's usually a dude who's got a sword or a slingshot, or his fists, and he has to go slay a dragon or a serpent or something. And it's really, if I could do that, if I, was good with a sword and I had some like buddies who were like, hey, dragons are real and we're gonna go slay this dragon. I'm gonna tell you right now that if I could do that, I would be doing that right now, because that sounds freaking awesome. I'm also a Lord of the Rings Hobbit fanboy, so yeah. Anyway, instead I'm in college working at Chipotle, so you work with what you got. But slaying dragons, like it's anything that's unknown and scary to you, and it's not just about men. This is about anybody. So if there's something that you've got to accomplish, there's somewhere that you'd like to be. Chances are familiarity breeds contempt, right? So you're accustomed to being where you are and you don't like it and you want to make things better. That was my hip. So you, basically you've got to go try things that you haven't tried and do things that are scary. And that is what being 22 feels like. So, what this means though is that like you're here in the familiar area. For some reason you want to get here to the ideal. For whatever reason, you're here, but then you've seen, because if we have social media and other stuff, like you have this, but you really want this. And it might not be a car. It might be a relationship with a significant other. It might be kids. It might be, financial stability, because maybe, you and your family haven't known that. Whatever it is, you're familiar with this and you can make it better. But in the middle, there's something scary. So what this tells me is that people, and this goes to what he talks about with aims and motives, what Jordan Peterson talks about. So people are aiming creatures, okay? You want to do things in the world and you want to make them good, I hope. Because, like he would say, aim to do things that are good. But anyways, the fact that you have something but you still want for more, means that you have a problem with what you have. You're discontent. There's something about it that you don't like and you want to change it, which tells me that there's a problem. So in my understanding, that means that if you are a person that wants things to change, that means you have a problem that you want to fix. So when it comes to being an aiming creature and trying to, get somewhere, this is another tangent, but you should have an aim, and chances are it's related to solving a problem. So it could be a problem with yourself, it could be a problem with other people, with society, with whatever. Maybe your dad or your mom had like a brain disorder and then you become a neuroscientist or whatever, who knows. So anyway, what I wanted to say is that a brief tangent about like aims and getting from one place to another. This guy Jon Yoden, you can find him on social media at Yuenjon, Yuenjon. So I did this online movement university thing for a little bit, and him and DJ Murakami and Jonathan Winmass, like these guys are awesome, and they, right off the bat, the first thing that they mentioned the first lecture they did was one of the biggest, hey, relax, buddy. Cooper, he's a year old. An Aussie Shepherd. So, he talked about the acidiaceae, which, the sea squirt. If you look it up and you can spell acidiaceae, this thing looks like a condom. It's a sea creature, but it's just a tube, and it tries to navigate from one place to another. Its whole purpose in life, this tube that it has, is its nervous system. So this acidiaceae tries to move through the water, and its whole body is just a propulsion system. It's a tube. It's a glowing colored condom thing that just moves through the water, and it tries to get to a certain place so it can suck on a rock, okay? Its life goal is to find the best rock. And it tries to sit, and then it's going to sit, and it's going to leach and suck onto this rock, and then all the water that moves past this rock carries nutrients, and this acidiaceae, little sea squirt, is going to stay there, and then it's going to receive nutrients from the water around, and it's just going to live on this perfect rock forever. The rock, so what happens is when the sea squirt attaches to the rock, it eats its nervous system. So what I'm saying is that your nervous system facilitates movement, and you and the sea squirt have something in common, which is that you are both aiming creatures trying to get to a destination, right? And in the acidiacea's case, the nervous system is the only purpose of its nervous system is to get it to its magic rock, its special rock. And once it gets there, it's happy and has nutrients, so it eats its nervous system. You have a nervous system which does a lot of things like build up muscle, and it helps navigate the world. So what I'm saying is that to get from where you are to where you want to be, you got to get jacked. No. This is all just a plot to tell you why you need to go and lift some weights. Nah. Actually, what I'm finding for me personally is that I had a problem with myself, right? Started here. I was a little overweight and chubby, so I had a problem, and I wanted to feel better about myself, and now I'm here. And I would say that I feel a bit better about myself, and I have somewhat solved this problem, but I got caught up in other problems. So, in this unknown, I tried all kinds of things. I did like football, I did bodybuilding, I did powerlifting, I did CrossFit, I did bodyweight strength only, I did like the Olympic lifts, like weightlifting stuff for a little bit, did like isolated joint training, and I still do all of this stuff a little bit, like natural movement. I've tried parkour, lots of stuff, a little bit of self-defense, a little bit of like just like an intro dance class type thing. But anyway, the gist is that you're going to be exposed to a lot of different ideas along the way, and you're going to have to learn that it's okay to reject some of them, and you're going to have to kind of amalgamate your own Bruce Lee, what is it? Take what is useful, disregard what is useless, and add what is uniquely your own. So I don't know if my camera's going to shut off here in like 15 seconds, but if it does, I'm going to try to keep going because I got more to say. So anyway, on the idea of getting from where you are to an ideal future, you have to navigate the scary unknown. Oh, I guess we good. Oh well. Okay. So what does this look like? It's going to look different for everybody. And in my experience, I've had a lot of different things come up. But just kind of like where I'm at right now. So strength training has been one of the big pillars in my life, and just health in general, I guess. And I intend to keep it that way. But to me, I just kind of like romanticize the Greeks and the Statue of David and like all that sort of stuff, where if you're a sculptor or a painter or a poet or a writer, producer, mixer, musician, blah, 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 you should probably be able to experience what it's like to have healthy, strong physiology. What I mean is, in your own sense of the meaning, like you should have a body that looks good, that's strong or flexible or fast or whatever. And I just think that that's like one of the pillars of humanity. You know, you're a body, this is your meat wagon, and you might as well make something cool out of it. Because, you know, it's a part of living that a lot of people these days aren't getting to experience. And I think Socrates or Plato had some, Seneca, like anybody, a lot of these people probably have quotes about, like, I think it's Socrates though, he's like something along the lines of, if man who hasn't explored the extents of his physical bounds, you know, has never lived, or whatever. That was like just a dirt plow butchered of that quote. But I think that's one thing that a lot of people could really use. And more to Jordan Peterson's point, as that's kind of the guiding idea here, I'm doing a lot of basic things. So like I'm trying to develop some basic habits, like making my bed. If I can get this thing to angle without freaking out. My bed is, there's a symbol, but like my bed's kind of made, and my dog is on it right now. I'm propping my phone up in my blinds, guys. Works pretty well, actually. So making my bed in the morning, as well as developing new habits, quitting other ones, but you kind of choose that as you will. Flossing, I mean, really basic stuff. You can think about cleaning up food, but whatever it is, you know, that takes you from your ideal place to where you want to be, there's probably some problem that you have that you need to address. And this is what I'm really trying to get to now. Okay, so I remembered like my train of thought. Anyway, in this journey from where you are to your ideal destination and navigating the scary unknown, you are probably going to be a lot stronger if you believe in yourself. And this is just my own opinion, my own experience, but you want to develop habits that keep you accountable to yourself, because when you aren't accountable to yourself, what happens is you say that you're going to do something and then you fail, and then you repeatedly do that and you kind of convince yourself that you can't. And then when you try to do like bigger things and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna finish school or I'm gonna get this job, you've repeatedly convinced yourself that you can't do things, and it makes it really hard to believe in yourself. So I would say, like, develop a lot of basic things that you can do, like washing dishes, just anything that is tangible and within your reach. When you prove to yourself on a repeatable basis that you can do things that you say you're going to do, you develop trust in yourself and love for yourself, and that's invaluable, especially in this sort of hero's journey kind of thing. That I'm making this because I feel like I'm at this point. I just have a lot of like thoughts, right? I'm just trying to verbalize them. So back to the main idea. Brief tangent there, but doing my best. So where you are and where you want to be is based around an aim. Okay, you have a problem. There is a problem that you're something about your current situation that you don't like. And if there's nothing about your situation that bothers you and everything you're doing is fine, I know somebody, a friend of mine, I asked him like, what would you want to do differently, or what are you trying to change? What would you like to make your life differently? He does not care. He doesn't want to change anything. So I would say, like, if where you are there's no problem, chances are it's going to be hard to motivate yourself to do anything, because you're basically in heaven, and like any ounce of thing you might have to do is, I don't know. I mean, some people can operate there, but anyway, you got this problem and you're trying to get somewhere. So I think that in trying to figure out, if you don't know where you're aiming or whatever it might be, if there's a problem, you should find a problem, basically, is what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people will say follow your passion, and this is going to go into a new rant, so strap in. But like, a lot of people, whenever you talk to someone, you say, oh, I'd love to do this. They're like, yeah, whatever makes you happy. Follow your passion, whatever makes you happy. Like, that's all well and good, but some people might interpret that wrong. Like, some people might interpret that as do whatever is easy because it feels good, or do whatever feels good because that must be right. Like, well, texting your ex at 2 a.m. might feel good, but it's probably not right. So, when you're going from somewhere and trying to get somewhere, I think that a useful aim and orientation, instead of like happiness or totally conservative, like the military, like duty, just going full duty, like, yeah, somewhere in the middle. Jordan Peterson would describe this as pursuing meaning, and I would say that you can establish meaning by having a service, having something that you can offer to people that is of value, somewhere that you've developed skill that you're uniquely built for. And Cal Newport would say develop a rare, valuable skill at a high level, and that makes careers and jobs like guaranteed. You'll be able to find something. But I think, like, in addition to that, to both of these things, why not have a problem that you're trying to solve? Because if there's something so wrong with the present that you need to change it, that's probably a useful orientation. So for you, it might be like, oh, I don't have enough money, or don't have enough friends. Maybe I'm just talking about myself, but you have these things you'd like to make better. And you think, well, I need more friends. So the ideal future would have more friends. The ideal future would have a quality relationship. And then somewhere in the middle, you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. But in essence, you're solving problems. And what I was saying earlier is that when you're on this journey of problem solving and establishing meaning and values and things that matter to you, I think a lot of other people, when you go to other people for advice, they're going to try to give you their opinion, and they're going to say, like, if it's me and I'm on the internet and I go to Ido Portal, I'm looking at his stuff, I would start to think, and I have started to think, for instance, like freestanding handstand push-ups and one-arm chins make you like strong, and you could say that you're strong, and now you've developed like what he would say is basic strength, which is basic for elite gymnasts. But nonetheless, like a double bodyweight squat, or whatever the standard would be in the powerlifting community, whatever community you're in. I'm using health because this is just my experience with physical development and physical culture. So basically, you get a lot of other people telling you their experience, which gets you to where they are. But you can adopt someone else's values as your own, and they might not necessarily be your highest values. They might not necessarily be things that are true to you. They're useful. If I could do a one-arm chin-up right now, I'd be pretty freaking strong. But, the time that goes into that, and the kind of person that you can be, and what you can offer the world, obviously all these things improve, and it's all lovely. But, what I'm saying is, like, you can find yourself empty. So in high school, I was into powerlifting a little bit, so I pulled like 430 when I was a sophomore. I was like 16, and I was like 210, so 210 pounds for anyone that speaks kilograms. But when I put the bar down, I actually just dropped it at LA Fitness, And there was some like 20-something-year-old dude who just stared at me, and he was like looking in the mirror, and his face looked like he was about to pass out. He was just like, because he was a 16-year-old kid doing this thing. And shortly after that, I realized I didn't give a. I'm trying not to swear for some reason, but yeah, I realized I don't really care. I don't really care what number is on the bar. I'm more concerned with my experience with overcoming physical resistance and challenge. So if it's 100 pounds, but I work extremely hard to move it, I think there's meaning in that. If it's 300 pounds and it's a movement that was done the way someone else told you, with the right form, you did it with their form, you did it the way they wanted, you did a movement they approve of, you hit a number that they approve of, it's like, dude, you're people pleasing, so stop. But in that sense, in the physical development sense, I've had to kind of define my own values. And for me, one of those is the middle splits, which I'm hoping to get this year because I've been trying for so long, and they're very frustrating. So that's what I'm saying. It's a challenge that matters to me. I deadlifted 500 accidentally. I didn't do deadlifts for like 6 or 8 months. I just did a lot of flexibility training and squats 3 times a month. Yeah, 3 or 4 times a month. And I pulled 500. I did not care. It does not matter. So like what does matter is like this challenge right here of doing the middle splits. Like, God, this thing won't happen. I really want this to happen, so I'm working at it, And when it does happen, it'll feel good. I'll know that I'm capable of doing things that I say that I can do, and I'll be able to do that in other areas. If it was a double bodyweight squat, I'm going to tell you right now, I've gotten close to that, and if I got it, I would probably do what I've done already, which is like, let it go. I had it, don't need it, it's not helping. I don't want to keep building on it, and that's okay. So anyway, yeah, I think you want to have a problem that you're trying to solve. I really do. Because if you're trying to make the world a better place and everybody says, you only got one life, so YOLO, YOLO could mean dead in a week from drug overdose. So like, instead of, living every day like it's your last day and pursuing happiness and blah, 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 I would say find things that upset you. Find things that really bother you and try to make them better. Because, and this is just my opinion, you don't have to adopt this. I mean, you can do whatever, whatever you would like. Maybe people's unhappiness is something that bothers you, and you play the guitar like I do right there. Yeah. And you just want to make people happy. That's great. Do that. But this is more of a principle, and it's more applicable to many people. This is why people give general advice, by the way, because if you get general advice, it applies to more people, and they can make it their own. Whereas if you give somebody specific advice, you're giving them your advice. That's not really uniquely for them. If you give generalizations based on sound principles, people can drive their own meanings, which encourages someone to think for themselves, which is not often done. So yeah, solving problems. Find something that's worth solving. And to me, I don't know exactly where this road is going to go, but something suspicious about vaccines. I think there's something suspicious. Bill Gates. I think there's something weird that you're doing, bud. I think there's something weird going on there. And in a bunch of other places, there's a lot of weird stuff going on, like with the Bilderberg Convention. Yeah, there's all kinds of things, guys. There's an ocean of problems. So there's plenty to go around. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that I would see as the biggest problems for me that are like political, and global at their real world impact, I think that those problems are probably worth your time, and if you're taking on the biggest problem, you're taking on the biggest responsibility you can handle. So don't take on a problem that's like meaningless to you, that's small. Like, you would want to take on something, the greater meaning it is, the harder that it is for you to do, the more value you'll have in it, and the more the more you'll be constantly reaffirmed at a biological level in terms of incentive reward systems. The more that you'll be encouraged to pursue fixing this problem, the more that it matters to you, the more meaning it has. So on the note, for me, a lot of these things that I've been sharing on Instagram lately, a lot of the things that are going around right now with this corona thing, I think that, first of all, I really hope that it's all wrong. I hope that it's all absolutely wrong. Like, as far as the alternate views, like the belief that vaccines cause autism. I don't think that's really a belief. I think that there's some evidence to support that, and that the research that you'll find when you go to Google or you go wherever, I think the information and the research you're going to get, the studies you're going to get, are given to you, supplied, paid for by the people who would have some agenda put together. So yeah, if you want to find the evidence, it's probably going to take some digging to find counter evidence to the mainstream. But like, for instance, vaccines and autism. Okay, I hope that's not true. I really do. I would prefer that all these conspiracies and all these ideas, I would really prefer to that they're all wrong. Like, I don't care about being right. I want to make that point very clear. I don't care if I'm right, because I would much rather be wrong. But to everyone who believes the mainstream, or who would say that vaccines are necessary and we should all get them, do you have a problem with being wrong? Would you like to be wrong? Probably not, because the alternative is much worse. So I venture to question, what's more worth your time? To go with the mainstream and believe what you're told, or to at least consider the counter arguments of the so-called crazy people? Because on the off chance that they're right, that reality is a much bigger threat. It poses a much bigger problem. Yeah? And that's just what I'm saying. If there's a potential for a problem, at least listen and consider it, be informed, because it might need solved. And if somebody's raising questions about a problem, it's possible that their ideal future is similar to yours, and maybe we could work together to get there. But we have a lot of people who, when given the possible truths of our world, the possible, deep states, they ignore it, or they tell you to shut up because it scares them. Dangerous thing to do, to try to scare people. But it's not about scaring you. It's about telling you that things could be better. And there might be somebody who's trying to make it worse. And if that doesn't bother you, then we got bigger problems. So, good luck. I hope somebody found some use in this half-hour-long video. I really do. Because this is the culmination of my experiences and my thoughts up to this point. Sorta. Yeah. Well, yeah. Make it good, whatever you do. Make it good. Face the potential harsh reality. Find friends to help you face the dragons. And I don't know, I don't have any closing thing. Elliot says done, but peace. Thanks.